Miro Liu there. Well, for more on what prompted the president's action and where companies go from here, I'm joined by Ari Zoldan, the CEO of Quantum Media Group. Welcome, Ari.
Great to be back, Rochelle.
So how unexpected was this decision to block the deal, especially given the lead-up that we saw?
Sure. It wasn't entirely, I don't think it was entirely shocking. I mean, look, you're talking about two heavyweights, two different countries, national security, telecommunications, data. There's a lot at stake over here. So I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, this would have been a simple deal.
Now, in terms of the importance of this deal being blocked before the agreement was actually even reached, how significant is that?
Well, it really, I mean, it didn't go through the due diligence process, which is quite shocking. And I think that they jumped very, very quickly ahead without actually checking off the list all the major components in order to put this deal together. So I don't think from a technological standpoint, from the insiders that I had spoken to the people on the Hill, this was really this was not, I don't think, a big shock. And again, you know, you're touching upon some very, very sensitive information. At the end of the day, you know, if you think from an American perspective, having their chip, a Chinese chip in every single mobile phone in the United States actually obviously, you know, does present a type of risk.
Now, context-wise, this is only the fifth time in the last 30 years, two of them being just over the last year, that a U.S. president has stepped in to block a takeover deal for a U.S. company, citing national security concerns. So how likely is this trend then to continue?
I mean, look, you don't see $117 billion takeovers every single day. And this would have been a massive, massive historical merger. So it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen again for a very, very long time. And as you said, it's only been the fifth time a sitting president has ever done this. And again, he's obviously being guided by national security people on the Hill as well. So again, we're talking about this is not just a very, very typical run-of-the-mill technology deal. There's a lot of things at stake. And obviously the underpinning is security. And at the end of the day, it's our data. So in essence, the Chinese, if you think about it from a contextual standpoint, the Chinese would, at the end of the day, own our data.
So then how do you think this more protective stance that we're seeing by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., or CFIUS, how do you see that potentially affecting how attractive U.S. companies are in terms of an investment opportunity?
Well, obviously, it's hard, especially with this administration right now. So obviously, I think any large deals at stake, I'm willing to bet, are going to be rolled back or held back until the next 2 or possibly 6 years to see what happens with the Trump administration. But obviously, there's no secret out there in terms of what Trump's agenda as relates to foreign companies are. So, you know, it's certainly a very, very challenging environment right now, especially with the tech sector and a lot of the sensitivity around privacy and data. So
now let's also look at Broadcom and its idea of moving its headquarters to the U.S. Do you think that's going to make a difference in terms of how it's viewed?
No, zero. I don't think it's going to move the needle. And obviously they're moving it to the U.S. They're going to be staffing up in the U.S., but obviously for the purpose to be able to acquire Qualcomm. And if it's not Qualcomm, it's probably going to be an attempt to acquire another U.S. manufacturer. But I don't think that's going to move the needle one bit.
Now, we did see that China's Huawei was not part of this deal, but it was also blocked from making a deal to carry its smartphones on U.S. carrier networks. How much do you think that outcome affected what happened with Broadcom?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably following in the same type of environment. And I think that, you know, I'm not going to be surprised, again, if the Chinese and some other Asian companies keep trying to hit, obviously, the U.S. market. Because in essence, you know, this is the 800-pound gorilla for a lot of technology type of companies, and certainly 800-pound opportunities, if you will. So I don't think it's going to stop here, but we're going to see. And obviously, the next 2 years is going to actually reveal a lot of information.
All right. Thank you so much. Ari Zoldan there, CEO of Quantum Media Group.